Hey hackers, welcome to episode 41 of The Commit. I'm Richard.
And I'm Neil.
So this week is part 2 in Neil's special on decoding job descriptions. So last week, Neil, you broke down a job description that had left you with a lot of questions.
Yeah,
right?
I was not thrilled with that one.
Cool, so this week we're gonna look at a job description that's much more informative, and we're gonna see if there's any hints in there about things we should talk about when we apply. Neil?
All right, so this week's job posting is for just a software engineer. And what I like about this one is that in the first paragraph, they're very clear about what it is that the company does. So the line, we build consumer and enterprise web and mobile applications for global clients, and they have a growing practice building mobile applications for iOS and Android. If you have any interest in doing those two things, this is a great job for you, and that's the first thing that you should play up when you apply and you tell them why you want to work there. We pair program all day, every day, because we know it delivers remarkable results. If you're into pair programming, another great thing to bring up. And I really like this last line in this second paragraph. We believe in working hard at a sustainable pace, and you'll typically code hard for 8 hours each day, but then you're off work to relax, recharge, and refocus. So this is a really important line that basically says when you're off the clock, outside of your 9 to 5, you're on your time. So you don't have to take work home with you. So
it's like the opposite of a hackathon job, right?
It pretty much is the opposite of a hackathon job. So those are two really important things. If you don't like to pair program, or you see yourself working 90-hour weeks, this might not be the place that fits with sort of your personal ideas.
But it does a great job, right, of
ethic.
explaining the culture and how they work.
Right, exactly. So a little later down, they mention test-driven development, regular retrospectives. They're trying to explain what their process is, so that this is a great explanation of knowing how you're going to be doing your job, not just what you're going to be doing every day. They mentioned some benefits, which are important. I don't think they're the most important part of this job listing. You would probably learn about those later anyway. But it's good to know that they have a nice open office plan, etc., and that they do sort of try to foster a very supportive and congenial sort of work culture. Now, under what we're looking for, the sort of requirements, the first two things are pretty important, right? You have to have some knowledge of some common languages, Java, Ruby, Python, Golang, something like that. And that they're also saying that they want you to have about maybe 3 years of relevant work experience. I think this section is probably the least important hard requirement. Like, yes, you need to have some combination of these things, but if you only had 2 years, maybe you didn't know one of these languages, but you were really good at another language. What's hot these days?
Node,
right? Then you could still make this work. So you could still really use your experience to your advantage here. But
that was my question about this, right? So you've gone through this application and you've isolated some things that people can kind of play up in their application. So let's say that maybe I don't tick all those boxes. Maybe I don't have any experience with pair programming. So how would you suggest I approach that in my application?
Well, something like test-driven development or even pair programming are not things that everybody does, but they're not hard to learn. And so maybe you can frame that as in, I have a limited amount of experience with this, but I'm eager to do it because I think it'll help me do X. And this company's has put a lot of effort into this job description, showing why it matters to them. So even you're not repeating it back to them, but you're kind of building on that and showing them why it applies and how it's going to help sort of you be successful in that role.
Cool. Anything else on this?
Yeah, you know what? At the bottom, they mentioned that the way to apply is by sending them a resume and a cover letter. So if you don't send a cover letter, your resume is not going to get looked at and your application is just going to go directly to the round file. Plus,
and if you want to send a good cover letter, you need to go back and watch our episode about cover letters.
Right, exactly. So I think we've laid out some great stuff for you to use in that cover letter. And if you need to get more information about this company, I'm sure they'd be thrilled to tell you about it because they were so upfront even in their job posting.
Awesome. Great stuff, Neil. Let's do staff picks.
All right, so this week we went to the TechCrunch Disrupt Hackathon. We saw some really cool stuff. And my staff pick is Alexa WebBot. So what this is it's actually an Alexa interface using Selenium that lets you automate inputs and navigation through websites. So the example that the team did was that since it was Mother's Day, they actually used Alexa to log into 1-800-Flowers.com and order flowers for their mother.
Okay, shopping for flowers at flowers.com. Where is it going? Enter zip code.
10171.
Okay. Is type of location residential?
That is correct.
That works. I've done that.
So with WebBot, you can easily build AI bots for your favorite web services with minimal coding. You and your mother happy AI Mother's Day.
This was really cool, actually. I loved
Yeah.
seeing it, how it could read the options and even suggested responses.
Yeah, and so it prompts you for every input, and then it sort of waits for you to respond, and it takes you through page by page through the entire process. So it could be a really interesting way of using Alexa to actually interacting with sites that don't have APIs or doing actions where there is no sort of fully functional API for
And a
it.
great accessibility play as well. Really
Absolutely.
cool. So my project is also from the TechCrunch Disrupt New York Hackathon. It's called Bumpers, and you know I love an open data hack.
You really do.
So what this is using, it's using New York open data to warn drivers when they enter areas where there are a significantly elevated amount of traffic accidents. So really helping people be alert and be better drivers and know sections of the road where maybe there's a turn that's sudden, maybe there's an entry road. Really cool project. What it also does as well is it looks at traction and warns drivers that are departing lanes, so potentially fatigued.
That's great, especially if you're driving in an area where it's all new to you, like a new city or something. If there's going to be like a really tight turn, it's nice to know that before you total your car.
Yeah, really cool project. Totally encourage you to check it out.
All right, thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of The Commit. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much and happy hacking.
Happy hacking.